Um, Once again, we're welcome again to this session, and I'm really excited to be part of this training organized by MI Analytics and Research Consults. So, like I said, it's an interactive session, and I really would love every one of us. I'm also a learner, and we're all learning. We're all learning from each other. So I will ask, please be part of the session, ask your questions, and throw in your opinions, and we will disagree to agree, right? Yeah. So one thing I noticed about teamwork recently, I've been working on a collaborative research with some friends, and we often disagree, but at the end we agree. And that's one thing about research: you disagree to agree, right? So we want this session to be really interactive, and every one of us being part of it. Okay, so by the end of these 5 days, let's just go through. Properly, my name is Sumto Ezonwale, okay? I'm the lead director of MAC, and I'm excited to be here. And by the end of this session, we will be able to understand the concepts of survey design, right? Are there a science behind survey design? Why is it that millions of dollars and grants are being pushed in yearly into simple surveying quotes by NGOs and by government organizations just because of survey? So some of these questions are just something that I think we needed to address. Please confirm that you can still hear me, because I'm not seeing my screen now. I just returned.
Right, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not really on the Google Meet, so if at any point you stop seeing my screen, someone just indicate by just picking up. All right, so it's something that I began to look, because I noticed that most people underrate survey, right? Once you tell somebody I'm doing a survey, they will look down on you and say, that's not a real research. If it's not experimental, if it's not involving, like say, lab data, then they don't take you serious, like in some society. But yet you see that survey is still being recognized by many world powers, in the sense that many decisions are still based on survey, right? A lot of decisions that affect you and I today are based on survey. And these are things that when I look at, and I'm wondering, why is it then that people, especially of our own region, I don't know about your own region, often neglect or they downplay survey studies. Whenever you work with someone, maybe an MSc student or a PhD student, and they are working on a survey study, like personally, I worked on lab data, so I'm just talking out of experience. When I see maybe people in nursing that use survey study and they don't spend anything, literally we spent over 300,000 naira right in our thesis, that's undergraduate thesis, but they did not spend up to even 3,000 naira in their, so we really look down on them, thinking that, okay, survey is not really important so long as it's not in laboratory data that involves human beings, that involves collecting real data, like raw data from human beings, carrying out lab tests. So people neglect survey design, and it's something that I thought, and some of us thought, okay, let's talk about this in this workshop and see how we could actually enlighten people to have and do away with that mindset. So we'll talk about survey design, we'll understand the differences between survey and a questionnaire, and we'll also try to look at the different types. All right, at some point I will ask some of us to unmute ourselves to let's discuss about it as time permits us. I pray that time will permit us. And understanding reliability and validity of a survey study. right? And that should be by the third day. We'll be dealing more on reliability and validity of a survey study. And by the fourth day, we'll be going through how to code both in SPSS and Excel, and then how to transform your data, how to clean your data, the processes of data cleaning, and some some issues that might come up when you are cleaning your data that people, especially professors in quotes, always bring out a red eye whenever they hear data cleaning, right? And then we'll talk about some analyzing of data. We'll do some basic descriptives, just the basics as much as God helps us. And then finally, we'll build DAS. Though we'll have two uh, sessions when we will be doing some practical. So it will be on day 2 and then day 5, right? So I will ask on day 2 and day 5 that you join with your laptop so you can follow hands-on, and then it will really help you and go a long way to increase your knowledge. Okay, I pray that God will help us in Jesus' name. And being the time frame we have, I just hope God will help us. Okay, so this is the point that I really need someone to just talk with us. Survey or questionnaire. What do you think about these two? Can someone just help us? When you talk about survey, when you talk about questionnaire, are they the same thing or are they different? Can someone just help us? Anyone? Okay, God given, please go ahead.
Okay, I understand survey and questionnaires are different. Although questionnaire is part of surveying, is like a stage of surveying. Questionnaire is not asking, gather questions. Surveying includes questionnaire, but also analyze the data and also find meaning in the data being collected. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else want to try? Just try. I know there are experts here. Don't just. We are here to share knowledge. You learn from me, I learn from you. Please, someone else. Is there any difference between survey and questionnaire? Just tell us. If there's no difference, let's go ahead. Anyone?
In my own understanding, good evening, no?
Yeah, good evening. Please introduce yourself and let us know you.
Okay, my name is Philomena. My own understanding, questionnaire requires is more like rely on the information given to you by the people giving you those information you wanted. And give them the questionnaire to fill for you. Whatever they give you there is what you rely on. But in a survey, you tend to make a research on your own to get information based on how maybe there are criteria you want to use to deduct those information. But questionnaire is that it doesn't give you the information, whether it's true or not, you have it. That's my own understanding.
Okay. I think that's perfect. Okay. So what we all made an attempt, and it's good, and let's just see how I rather describe survey. Okay, now survey has to do with a broader perspective, right? I will call survey the umbrella, and then the questionnaire will be like a subset, right? So, sorry, a minute. Okay, sorry about that. So, like I was saying, survey study has to do with a broader picture of, or rather the umbrella, while questionnaire is just a subset. Okay? Alright, so every questionnaire is a survey, right? But not every survey is a questionnaire. Questionnaire just involves a collection. It's an instrument that you use in collecting data. It's just an instrument. But survey is like the whole process of finding a problem, collecting data, presenting your findings, right? So it's an overall process used, right, in the whole process, right? But then questionnaire is just the instrument. So the way I always remember it is just I use this acronym. In essence, every questionnaire is not a survey, but every survey is a question. Not every survey is a questionnaire, but every questionnaire is a survey. So this picture here is just an overview where I used to remember it. Whenever I talk about survey, I know that, okay, this is the broader view, the umbrella, which is covering every questionnaire. Questionnaire is just an instrument, while survey involves many processes. The methodology that will be used, the sampling technique that will be used, right? All those processes. But let's look at the key differences. Now, some of the key differences, it has a broader perspective, right? Then the questionnaire has to do with just being an instrument of study, right, for collecting of data. So that's just what questionnaire is. It involves multiple stages. Survey involves multiple stages: the research design, survey design, data collection, and analysis, interpretation of your findings, right? All these things are what encompasses survey design, the word survey, right? But questionnaire has to do just with collection of data. It's just an instrument. That's why in final year they will ask you, or in a thesis they will ask you, what's your instrument? Or rather in defense, right? They will tell you what's the validity of your instrument. Or they're just simply asking you did you checkmate your collecting material, the data, the instrument you use for your data collection? Did you checkmate it to be sure that it's credible and it really checked it really assessed what it was initially meant for, right? So it's like the umbrella. Survey is like the umbrella, while questionnaire is like the subset or a type of survey. All right. So it may be structured. Survey may be structured or unstructured. Right. This is so crucial. This is important. I think this is the bulk of the difference. Survey may be structured or unstructured. And some of the examples are questionnaire, like I said, interview, focus group, observational study, mixed study, right? While questionnaires, they are always structured, right? When we mean structured, they have a pattern of arrangement. They have system of arrangement. They are systematic. I think that's the word. They are systematically arranged, right? So questionnaires are quite structured, but souvenirs, they are not too. Some of them are structured, some of them are unstructured. Just like an open-ended question, obviously, an interview is not structured because there is no obvious pattern of arrangement of things, right? So let's go ahead. So what is a survey study? A survey research. So I saw a quote online by a research expert that says, survey research is a powerful tool, right, for understanding public attitude and behaviors, and can provide valuable insights for policymakers. When I saw this definition, I said, okay, so survey research is just It's not just a tool, but it helps to understand public attitude, behaviors, and also provide valuable insights for policymakers, right? So that policymakers is what really triggered my attention. So does it mean that those surveys that you're filling in a hurry, they are actually affecting you? Those surveys that you're filling, most times you are even in a hurry filling it. You don't know that those surveys that you're filling online, whether physically or online, they are cumulatively collected by some NGOs and by some government organizations, and those are what is now used to make policies that will still go back and affect you. So this is something when I now see people rush, though it's normal for human beings to rush their survey and fill it up. But you see, these are things that will still bounce back because surveys are meant to be correct, to be filled correctly, so that every response received by the researcher will be a credible one, right? It should be a credible one, knowing that survey research really affects every person on the earth, whether directly or indirectly. It affects every one of us because those data are quite huge. They're still used even to tomorrow. I know there are some corruptions there, but they still use those data to make a minimum guess, a minimum decisions, right, in government policies, right? So let's just see some examples that I felt that are needed that will help us understand these concepts very well. Now, have you ever thought of costumes, right? I don't know how many ladies are here. Okay, some ladies are here, obviously. So when you go to a costume shop after shop, I think let me just use the one I used recently. I went to a restaurant to eat with a friend, and after the meal, they gave us a form to fill. Now, the form contained okay, how was the meal, how was the attendance, how did they attend to you, that's the waiters, how did they attend to you, and then the food, how was it, and all the illustrations they outlined there. Now, do you know the implication of that survey that was filled? I know not every, of course, supermarket, but most supermarket that does that use that data to make real decisions that are actually improving their society. I think that's what McDonald's, people like McDonald's, are using to improve their system over and over again, that even when they come into a new continent, they can actually scale their business, right? Because they follow strictly on the customer's perspective given through the survey, right? So that's why businesses are actually thriving now because of data analytics, right? Businesses are thriving because they are using data to check, okay, I think people are more inclined to buy more of costumes on Sunday. Okay, let's push more costumes on Sundays. Or people are more inclined to buy candies on so amount of day. And you are just making those guesses, not just from your head, but based on data collected by a survey, right? So it's just for us to see the beauty and the power of survey. That's why I'm painting all these pictures, for us to see the beauty and the power of survey. And so the next time you are either working on a survey for your MSc or your PhD, you don't let people neglect you, that you're not doing a serious work, that you're not like people that are doing practical work, right? And like I said initially when I started, I personally neglected people that do survey work because I spent a lot, and I never knew that survey actually costs, at least to some extent it costs, right? Because that's why we also see sponsorship. Currently, the collaboration I'm doing with Kenya and Nigeria, it is funds I alone can, but if I get sponsorship, that will be a very big relief for me, right? So, but the funds there is still there. You have to spend, right? It's still there. There is still cost to it, but we must learn to appreciate the power of survey. must learn to appreciate the results that you can produce for us and produce for our businesses and produce for the government. So let's look at this issue that came up. Okay, on taxation. Okay, now to set taxation levels and plan infrastructures, you know that government need to actually know the basic information about their citizens. And so that's why you often see government always trying to collect data through BVN, through all those. They are just trying to know, checkmate and know the details of their citizens, to know how to share tax to individuals, to know how to share tax to companies. I think when we registered this company, right, it was a big tax. They were asking a lot of questions, like most of you who have a registered company with you. They asked a lot of questions just to make sure that you don't run away from tax, right? So government just want to know how much you're earning, where you are located. In case you're running away, they will catch you just through survey, right? Those information they are getting either through the bank or through they are all tailored down to getting information from you to be able to make policies that will improve the government. So why the government and NGOs and World Health Organizations, UN, allocate millions of grants yearly for simple survey? That was a big question for me, so I had to ask her also. So that's a rhetorical question for you to answer. But let's look at this stuff I found out. Okay. Am I still online? Yes. Okay. Please, are you still following?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hamid Meda, do you have a question? I'm seeing some hands raised up. The hands raised up. You have a question? Faith for wow. You have a question, or are you just indicating that you? Okay. Hassan, do you have a question? All right. I guess they are just indicating that they are following. Okay, so let's continue. So
yes, sir.
I found this, okay, go ahead, sir.
You can say that the survey is, you say the questionnaire is structured. Is it true?
Sorry, say again.
You say that the questionnaire is structured, but the survey is structured and is not structured.
Okay, I didn't really get that question, but if I got a little bit of what you're saying, you're still asking about survey and questionnaire.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
You say survey. You say questionnaire is structured. So, is it structured? How about in its structured? Is it structured, or how about sometimes can be a same structured, or what?
Okay, yeah, I don't think I got that question very well, but I said that survey is structured, it can either be structured or unstructured. What I mean by that is structured questionnaire means there is a systematic approach by which the question was asked, right? We know that after demography, we know that, okay, there is another approach to the question, right? But unstructured means maybe an interview, a random question can just come up, right? The respondent doesn't know, okay, the options are there for me. I can either choose this and this. It's not really structured. They can give any answer, right? There is no pre-arranged options for them. So that's unstructured. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that's the little I understood from your question. I don't know if that's okay. Is that okay, Hassan?
Yes, it's okay. Thank you.
Oh, okay, all right. Right, so let's go ahead. So I found out online, um, why does sexual relations between two men of the same, okay, view about sexual relations between two adults of the same sex. Now, there was a study that was survey that was carried out around 1986, and around that time there was a high disregard for same-sex marriage, right? And so every policy the government tried to put up that time, the people were against it. But around 1994, they checked the survey again, and you're seeing now, okay, some persons are beginning to accept it. The about 40%, okay, said they are not okay with it. Right down to 2001, sorry, down to 2001, we are seeing that the responses from residents of the of UK, these are the UK data, right, began to see a lesser population began to say, okay, there is nothing wrong with homosexuality, right? And then 2004, we are seeing a little bit of legal civil partnership for legalization of same-sex marriage, simply because of what the outcome of the survey brought up, right? So most likely, this is my personal thoughts, right? When they were filling this survey, some persons feel, some persons they feel. So based on what the sample that was got, they felt that okay, people are now beginning to accept this same-sex marriage, and then we are seeing that towards 2013, gay marriage was officially legalized in UK, right? Because people now accepted, a good number from the survey study, right, accepted it, and this was a well-respected survey institution in UK. Right, so they had to write to the policymakers, and having looked at the survey, they had to include that into the policy. Right, you see how survey can actually influence nations' policy, and your inability to be part of the survey process, and our inability to even engage in the process can actually come back either hurting us or helping us. So I'm just trying to paint the picture of why we need to pay attention to survey, right? Everything I've been saying so far is just for us to see the importance of survey and why it's needful for us to understand the basic concepts and how it works. Okay, so let's continue. So types of survey. Okay, basically there are two types of survey: a cross-sectional survey and a longitudinal survey, right? A cross-sectional survey has to do with collecting information about an individual at a singular point in time. Now, a practical example is if someone goes to the hospital and okay, someone goes to the hospital and wants to collect data from okay, nursing mothers, right? Okay, you want to collect data from nursing mothers, and you just want to check their how they align or how they use what's it called now, antenatal, right? Their degree of acceptance or utilization rather of antenatal, right? At that point, you're just collecting that data once. You just want to know how they use it, how they utilize antenatal. Is it once? How often they come? Maybe you ask them a question: when last did you meet up with all your checkups or the normal routine for antenatal? They will either tick yes or no. So you are just collecting that time, one single point data at that particular time. You're not coming back again, right? But when we talk about longitudinal survey, it's like a repeated survey, right? You come the first time, same population. After some time, you come again. A perfect example could be the effect of a training on a particular community, right? You want to you expose. You come to a community, you survey them, like what you did now. I will still do some practicals, of this later on. So we first of all give us a survey and filled. Some of us filled it. All right, a good number of us filled the survey. Right, that was a pre-evaluation survey. We wanted to know how many of us are good, have a knowledge of survey design, have a good knowledge of research analytics using SPSS, have a good knowledge of survey design. So we wanted to know their expertise, right? So at the end of the training, also, we want to assess again to know their level of expertise and other criteria that will also measure their knowledge, right? So that's the longitudinal data, right? Though it's short, but that's just a perfect example that I wanted to just use for us to understand. But other cases could be these follow-up cases that are done on patients, maybe suffering from cancer. They want to know at what stage they are. They come give them drug. They know the level of some of the parameters in their blood, and then they go again after some months. They give them a second dose, right? All those things are just trying to collect data, right? So longitudinal, they are repeated, same questions all the time, maybe 2 or 3 times from the same population. That's the longitudinal data. So next time you're conducting a research, whether for a personal research or you work with a research company, research-based institutes, okay, or your personal graduate program, you can try out cross-sectional. You can also try longitudinal. Whichever one works for you, it's still very, very much okay. Now, I also wanted to. Okay. Now, if we talk about types of survey questions, then it will lead us to also discuss what we call open-ended question and closed-ended question. Now, I had wanted someone to help me with this, but I already gave an example. But someone else helped me. I thought I had a slide on this before that had that question. Rather, I deleted it. But someone helped me. I said that this would be an interactive session. So, can someone just describe? Okay, Faith. Just to save up time, I'll just call names. Faith Ukwoma. Can you help us? We are learning. No one gets it right. No one gets it wrong. So can you help me understand what's open-ended question, what's closed-ended question? Okay. Is she active? She's not active. Okay, I can see someone's hands. If you're raising up your hand, please go ahead. Okay.
Okay, for open-ended questions, I'm Anthony by name. For open-ended questions, you are allowed to maybe state some inputs or give your own opinions about the question. While for closed-ended, it's more of like a yes or no. This is just direct. You select from the options available.
Okay. I think that's very okay. Precious, thank you very much. I was struggling to hear you, but I think I got the last part of your statement. Okay, let's go ahead. So, like Precious actually rightly said, open-ended question, all respondents allow respondents to come with their own answers, right? When you ask a question, what have you eaten? How will you rate our services, right? How will you rate our services? And there is no option for you, right? You are at the disposal to use your own words, then that's an open-ended question, right? But when we have options like strongly affirmative, it's very good, very not good, poor, right? All those questions, answers, then they are closed-ended questions, right? So long as it requires participants to select an answer from a predetermined choice, then we call that a closed-ended question, right? And then we also call that the other one an open-ended question, so long as there is no options for the participant to pick from. Okay, so let's just look at some differences in. Is someone raising up a hand? Okay, sorry, Anthony, my apologies, Anthony. Okay. So, I need to just go off camera for a minute. Okay, so let's talk about open-ended questions. When we talk about open-ended questions, what are the key differences between open-ended question and closed-ended question? One, no predetermined response given. Now, please, why I had to put this down for us is just for us to really, I analyze a lot of data and I see a lot of these mistakes, right? And it's not good, especially if you're going for a higher program, right? So, no predetermined response is given in open-ended question, while in closed-ended question, you have to design a predetermined responses for your participants, right? They should have a list of options to go through. They should have a list of things they should pick from, okay? Then respondent is able to answer in his or her own words, right? But that's not possible in closed-ended question. You must either tick one or two, either tick yes or no, either tick true or false, the other tick strongly agreed or disagreed, right? These are things that we ought to make mention of. Okay, then usefulness in exploratory research and to generate hypotheses, right? There is something I just needed to point out here. I will still discuss it tomorrow, but let me just point it out. Surveys, or rather closed-ended questions, should never be used to make a causative or a predictive response. What I mean is this: there shouldn't be a case where you use a survey and then you said there's a cause effect. So if your survey got a response and then you're saying, okay, because of this cause, this always be the effect. Surveys, closed-ended question should never be used for cause effect policies or outcomes or responses, right? You can use it to test hypotheses. Maybe there is already an existing hypothesis available. Then you can use closed-ended questionnaires when you've analyzed using chi-square or using regression. You can use it to now, I affirm to this hypothesis that this and this is so. But it's never possible that there was no existing hypothesis and then you are using a closed-ended question, a closed-ended questionnaire to make a cause-effect answer, a cause-effect conclusion. No, it shouldn't be so. Cause-effect, I don't know if you understand what I mean by cause-effect. Before I explain, does anyone know what I mean by cause-effect? Let me know, Arjun. Cause effects, God given. Okay. Anyone else, please just respond if you know what I mean by cause effect.
How much
okay,
thank
you.
Cost you to complete your survey? What is going to
No, I mean, I mean cost, not cost. Cost, CAUSE. Okay, thank God I asked. Okay, so as a Philomena, can you help us? Please help us.
Okay, good evening.
Okay. Yeah, good evening.
It will be something like when you talk about the effect of dietary sugar on diabetes. So you are checking like the quantity of something and how it affects another thing.
Okay, that's perfect.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, please, Faith.
It's just like we are referring the relationship between events or action, where one leads to another outcome of another one.
Okay. Thank you very much. Chukwuka, I can see a very big friend. Chukwuka, go ahead, please.
Okay, from my own understanding, I think that cause effects talks about. Okay, let me use an example. Let's say you come to a restaurant now, like you said, and you are given a questionnaire to explain how you felt about the food and what you think that they should improve. Assuming that they came and gave you just a limited slot of options, they might not be able to capture the nitty-gritties of what they might need to improve or how you felt in your own ways, which might eventually be a useful detail to them. So, or let's assume in policy making, like you said initially, applying cause effect to policy making using a closed-ended question might limit the options available for people because you're already giving them a predetermined setting, like a set from which they can choose. But for you to make an efficient policy, you might need to expand the reach to be able to connect the dots between the network of events that can lead to a particular end. So it's just like you're trying to get to every root of the problem, identify every possible means of the problem, and then achieve an end. It might be wide, it might not just be the way you want it, but it will give you a wider view if you use an open-ended question. Then you can now know how to narrow it down.
Okay, we all did very well. Thank you very much. That's why I said it's always good to, one of the things I love about webinars and workshops is the sieving, what you can sieve out from people's suggestions. You'll be amazed at what you can get from people's suggestions. So thank you very much. That was really, really great. So I guess everyone actually understands that now. So my aim for asking that question is just for us to understand that we can never and should never use closed-ended questions to make cause-effect relationships. It's not ethical at all, except there is already existing hypothesis. Okay, so another difference is the usefulness. It requires one on the part of the researcher in asking the right questions, right? So it's demanding, right? Because you can, unless you already have a noted question in your mind or in your notebook, but it requires you asking the right question. And then the close-ended aspect of it is easy to count, easy to analyze, right? And it's easy to interpret, but not so for this. A lot of times, working on open-ended question, you have to code your data. You have to be able to code your data and do a lot of things. Ijami, do you have a question? All right, let's go ahead. So, answer can lack uniformity and be difficult to analyze. It's just normal for open-ended question. And more often, where we see open-ended question is and interviews, right? Key information interviews. Though some persons added to structure questionnaire towards the end, and it's still part of it, but we see most of it in the key format interviews. It's always very difficult because you have to put and also to easily code these things for us. I'm excited to have this being very in our archive. The subsequent courts to come, because having just SPSS and arrow modules and research in research methodology now do. But subsequently, yeah, we are at last T is a very wonderful to my Steve for or in for to analyze open-ended question is always love because and it's easier than counts. Imagine using what's it called? Using abacus is not useful, right? Using abacus and you didn't see it. So it's now give an okay, what do we use now? Let's use that of the common one. The attack of what's it called now? Donald Trump on Iran, right? Yeah, the attack of Donald Trump on Iran was a big mistake. Now, this is something that can easily be used on Likert scale. So the respondents will be given 5 choices. Okay, strongly agreed, agreed, somewhat agreed, neutral, right? So these are what you use in Likert scale. So you make a statement and then you give people choices to use, responses, or rather choices they can use to. Is there a question or a mistake? So is there, the Likert scale is commonly right, and you want people to just either affirm to a degree or to a lesser degree. Okay, then thematic. Okay, thematic is more like, sorry, semantic. Some of us might not be very familiar with this, but it's more like Likert scale, right? But then this one allows the participants to have more ratings, right? To have more options. It can even reach up to 7, 11. So they can tell you, can you rate our company, our expertise on the rate of 1 to 11, on the scale of 1 to 11. Young Tech, please.
Right, okay. Number.
Young Tech, please put yourself. Okay, please, if you are there, young tech, try and mute yourself. Okay, let's continue. So, semantic differential scale has to do with it's like a scale. Margaret, if you're there, please see if you can either eject him or find a way to mute him. Young tech, please mute yourself. Okay, thank you. So, semantic differential scale has to do with just like a Likert scale, but like I said, it gives the respondents more options to work with. Now we also have large rating scales. Right, I needed us to just have a little bit of the knowledge of all these ones, so that we won't be so carried away with just the usual Likert scale, which is good, right? But then it's good that you have a good knowledge of other types. Sorry. So a large rating scale, this one, it has to do with Likert scale also, but now you can read, it doesn't stop at 5, it goes down to 100. Now they tell you rate the policy of Donald Trump since resumption. So I'm using Donald Trump. Rate his own works from within the range of 1 to 100. Now it gives you a larger range. That's just the difference between those Likert scale and this large rating scale. Okay? So that's basically large rating scale. Now the one that is not mostly used is this Gutmann scale, but it's very interesting. It's very, I should have added an example here. But let's go on. Let me see how I can describe it using a scenario. Okay, Gutmann and the respondent score is more like you give them a list of items to pick from, right? And then those items at the end are summed up, maybe 1 to 6. Now they either they are at liberty to pick either 1 to any of them to the 6th one, and at the end it is summed up, right? And if it's above 4, then they agree with that statement, right? They agree with that statement. So it's usually not used, but it's also a very good skill that you should be aware of. I just decided to add it there, though people don't usually use it. But I've seen it in some foreign questionnaires. Actually, that's why I had to bring it up here. If it wasn't seen in recent questionnaires, I wouldn't have brought it up here. But since this is a more wider reach, I needed to bring it up because obviously you might see it in your own study, or maybe you went outside the country to study, you might see such tags that it won't be so strange to you. All right, so let's go ahead. Dichotomous has to do with either yes or no, right? Either false or true. Okay, we'll still see that shortly. We'll try to do a short practicals just after now. And then multiple choice. There are 2 forms of multiple choice. You know, when you see, this used to confuse me, so I need to explain it again. When you see multiple choice, people often think, okay, I have liberty to pick more than one, right? There are 2 forms of multiple choice, right? There are single pick multiple choice, and there is multiple pick multiple choice, right? So just know that there are times I see some online surveys, people obviously in a question that shouldn't be multiple choice because they didn't know how to navigate their way around that tool, either Google Form or SurveyMonkey. They allowed respondents to be taking multiple choice questions even in age, right? Can someone be 24 and 25 at the same time? And then they're sending you the data in Excel format to analyze, and you're seeing a lot of messy data. All right, that can be very, 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 very challenging and very tiring because some of you are good analysts. You understand that the the aspect of data cleaning research can be in analytics can be very, very tiresome. It can be very, very tiresome, especially if you're working with someone that is not very very good in research or hasn't done. They'll maneuver a lot of things and you'll just be cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, right? So, but this is why we are bringing this training, so that we'll have a good knowledge. So when we are structuring our questions, okay, when we're structuring our questions, we will have, hope you can hear me. I'm seeing some alerts on WhatsApp. Is there any issue? Okay, I'm seeing some messages on WhatsApp. Okay, so it's just for us to have a knowledge of this, so that when we are either doing our own project or seeing someone, it's always good to guide people are right when they're using these tools. If not, it will be a messy data collection. It doesn't, people will just, because they feel that the tool is free, they will just navigate their way. They still mess up the whole process. And it's not wonderful, especially to data analysts. Right, so number 4 is the numerical continuous patience. Right, this is more like age, weight, right? They are close-ended because they have the exact amount, right? It's not guesswork. Also part of close-ended patients. Then we also have categorical survey patients, and categorical has to do with grouping variables, right? You either group into married, single, right? Okay, so you have the married separate, you have the single separate. These are categorical. So someone can either tick married or tick single or tick divorced, whichever one. Okay, and then the last, but this is not an exhaustive list, right? This is not an exhaustive list. There is still more on surveys, and but these are mostly based on my studies and based on my findings and questions I asked from credible experts. I know that these are the most used and most often used by most researchers and most industries when it comes to surveys, right, in recent times. And if we have a good knowledge of these things, it will go a long way to help us. Okay, so now is the time where we go to do some little hands-on experiences on what we are working on so far. So, is there any question before we move into the answer session? So, if you're joining with your laptop, I need you to just pull up. I want us to recreate what we just did. Some of us saw the link that we sent in the group chat, right? That survey, I want us to recreate it again together now, right? I want us to just navigate our way around SurveyMonkey, probably by, if time permits us, we'll go into Google Form and other platforms that is used for online surveys. We'll also find how to create your physical surveys. Okay, so but I needed to just show us how to navigate our way around SurveyMonkey. If that's a question, please go ahead and ask.
So you didn't explain the rank order
so
question.
The what?
The rank order questions, you didn't explain it.
Rank order. Oh, sorry. That was the. Okay, this is just. Okay, now when you talk about rank order, it's just trying to replace a means of rating. So you are trying to ask people a question on. Okay, can you help us explain? Okay, based on a list of options, they'll give you like 4 options. They'll tell you, okay, can you rate how you love pizza, right? Check your love for pizza. They'll write somewhat, less what. Have you ever seen that kind of question? Much, something like that. So they're trying to rate your love for pizza, right? Or maybe how often would you come use our services? Some much, some less, right? It's just often. Right, these are just options under that rating order. Okay, it's often used, but sincerely, Though one of the studies that we did recently that was presented at African Youth Summit that held at Lagos under the flagship of Zion Tech Hub, we collaborated with them on a research, and the study was presented, and we used its Likert scale in the study, right? But we wanted to use rank scale, but at some point we have to remove it, right? And we used Likert scale. We worked on impact of how, I can't remember the exact words, but it's just a study on how to check the acceptance of the use of, what's it called now, cardiovascular, use of AI tools in discovering or in assessing cardiovascular diseases, right? So we just wanted to know assess how medical personnel are willing to accept that, and it was really awesome, led by a good friend and member, Godsent. It was really awesome. He presented it at the African Health Summit at Lagos that was held on 27th and 28th.